if you're in there just like collecting wood, if you want to go in there and fish, or you're meeting a bear friend maybe who called you on the phone somehow.
Ooh,
and
that
wants
is
you
mysterious.
And he wants you to deliver some maple syrup to him. You know, there's a lot of interesting things in the woods. Hello, and welcome to episode 160 of Rhythm Encounter, the RPG fan music podcast. I am your host, Mike Salvato, and today we are going to be talking about forest themes. And we are going to be doing that with a great panel of my forest friends. I probably should have cleared that with you guys before I called you my forest friends. You can all be forest animals.
I was about to say, do we each...
Yes, exactly.
Do we each pick a forest animal?
Sure, let's do that. I'm definitely not putting everyone on the spot. Anyway, so first of all with me today is Hillary.
Hi. I think I'm going to be a hedgehog, although I'm aware that there's only like a very limited habitat where there are forest hedgehogs.
Okay, that's fine. You can be a hedgehog.
Let's do it.
Audra is here.
Hello, I'll be a deer, just because.
Okay, great.
Yes.
And how about you, Gio?
Hello. I'm a worm.
You're a worm.
I'm the worm that you step on accidentally.
Oh, no.
Okay.
Okay, we got everybody. We need to make sure it doesn't rain so Gio is safe.
I was going to say we were talking about like, you know, Disney and we're thinking like Snow White, right? Like no one pick like a bluebird, but I don't know if I want to pick a bird now if you're a worm, Gio.
Well,
you know,
if I help keep you alive, that fulfills my purpose as a worm.
Oh boy.
No, Gio, you need to be supporting the ecosystem. And healthy and safe.
Yeah, someone needs to do it, you know? I'll be the one.
Okay, all right. You can be the worm. Well,
actually, worm plus hedgehog is also bad.
Oh,
that's true. Yeah, they like eating little critters, huh?
Oh no, we've ruined Disney movies.
All right, well, this got complicated.
It's got complicated and we haven't even started yet. That's okay. All right. Yes, anyway. So again, we're here to talk about forest music. This was a topic we did long ago, but I'm happy we're revisiting. This is kind of a series of revisitations lately. Last time we revisited title and menu screen music. So today we're revisiting forest themes. So we will put a link in the show notes if you're curious about the previous forest episode. So yeah, check that out, but do it after this episode because we have some great music to talk about today. Before we get to that, though, what has everyone been listening to recently? I'm going to also put someone on the spot, like I put you on the spot at picking forest animals. So let's start with Gio.
Yeah, well, I'm listening to... there's this game called Hylix 2. It's like an RPG from a few years ago, and I kind of knew the soundtrack was good, but like I didn't really like pay attention to it until like the other week. And it turns out the soundtrack is amazing. It's like this really spacey, Pink Floydy, acid rock album. Basically, it is. It kind of feels like the game kind of looks like Nickelodeon from the 90s, like the kind of experimental stuff that they would do from time to time.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm. And the music is really cool. If maybe you're lighting up, we're like a day before. We're like a day before 420, so I think it's really appropriate. We're recording this like on the 19th, so.
Are you listening to this tomorrow too?
Yeah. And I'm not like admitting to like any crimes or anything. I just think if you were like, you know, you should listen to this album because
even if it's legal where you are, it's not a crime.
No, it's not. You know, but I didn't admit to anything, so I think
Right. He's not admitting to any crimes.
He said, if you do, if you want to do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Many enjoy pairing this type of music with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. What was the game again?
Hylix 2. HYLICS 2. And I think I'm really looking for an opportunity to bring it on the show because it's an RPG. It's an RPG. So I don't know if we cover it or if we've, But
what on earth? Okay. I thought I was like, well, maybe this is one of those ones I've seen, but I think I'd remember this.
I see exactly what you were saying about Nickelodeon experimental.
Uh-huh. Yeah. And I get the soundtrack now.
Yeah.
Yep.
Also, since your HP and MP is represented as flesh and will.
Ooh,
yes.
What's the coffee? I see coffee mugs.
I guess you can be permanently caffeinated.
Excellent.
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'm intrigued.
It's really cool. It's really cool.
Cool. All right. How about you, Audra?
Well, right now I'm listening to a lot of Ayumi Hamazaki.
Yes.
Nice.
And I love how versatile she is in terms of J-pop, and just she can do ballads really well, and then she can also do dance music really great. And yeah, right now Remember You is the album I've been having on repeat. So
that's awesome. I haven't listened to her stuff in a while, but I had a period a while ago where I really, really into her.
She is very good.
Yeah, she's fantastic. All right. How about you, Hillary?
I've been revisiting some Gorillaz music and been enjoying that.
Very nice.
Yep, they have been around a long, long time, and whatever they do is always intriguing. So I've mostly been listening to Plastic Beach and Demon Days.
Yeah. What have I been listening to? I think I've mostly just been listening to the soundtracks to whatever I've been playing lately.
So Blueprints.
Blueprints and Hello Kitty. Yeah. I mean, those have been the soundtracks lately.
I'm imagining the soundtrack to Blueprints superimposed on Hello Kitty Island Adventure, and it's making me laugh.
You go into Hello Kitty's bakery and it's suddenly the dramatic observatory music.
Okay. That's too weird. So the next time I load up Hello Kitty Island Adventure, I'm just going to mute it and put on the Blueprint soundtrack and see what it does. Yeah, that's mostly it. Although a couple nights ago we were like, we have like a 30-minute drive. Let's put on some Weird Al. So there's been some Weird Al in there too.
We needed to get the energy up.
Yeah. So if that's not a weird combination of things, I don't know what is. I mean, Gio, yours was just weird on its own. Like mine is more of a weird combination of things.
Well, I like it.
Yeah,
weird is good.
Weird is good. I love weird. Yeah. All right, are we ready to talk about some forest music?
Yep.
Yes.
Cool. That would have been really awkward.
Arboreal Aspirations. I guess. I don't know.
That would have been really awkward if any of you said no. All right. So our first block today is going to be me and Hillary. So we are going to start with a personal favorite of mine, Stardew Valley. And this is In the Deep Woods by ConcernedApe. And then that goes to you, Hillary.
Yep. So speaking of slightly strange and maybe a little bit trippy, I'm bringing As I Feel, You Feel. And that's Nobuo Uematsu. And it's from Final Fantasy V Dear Friends, so an arranged version of a song from FF5.
Awesome. All right, let's go take a listen.
siitä on touttu. Teutta siitä on unna toivu. Iena muojolo, mu jaskadi, mu leggadit. Jaada rahkahuota, jos parkkantan. Tai jos in parkin maitie. Tolla puolta mun muodui. Anni iune reksaden. Reksaden iune Anni. Mun muistan safkaltu sai. Imnihle mun mielas. Tahtui mai touten. Tählähkö tjähtse. Kosta pohti. Kosa pahtanet je. Niillä räddäreikko. Niillä mieras. Tän häälivtsen tehtet. Muistasen, missä nän juurta kiittää. Jostain piekka muistelit. Muistelit erälaan ellimis. Kitte farmuchaan mi. Lihkä onnan chuokka. Kovtse farmu pelli. Lihkä kulan säänei. Toivu koihkanasa. Rauke hietnama. Rahkahuolas tolla chonka. Musti vuotta otsa ellima. Odmo vissadus. Nu allinkos Pekka.
All right, so that was In the Deep Woods. I know I've brought this up many times on the site and on podcasts, but I am a very, very big Stardew Valley fan. I started with Harvest Moon way back in the day, and I'm very out of touch with what's Harvest Moon and Story of Seasons are doing now, because I've just been like, well, I have this one, so I'm good. So as for the song, I don't think we have a shortage of like mysterious wood themes in RPGs. Like there's so many, like not just things like Zelda, but a lot of times we do hear like, mysterious or like ominous kind of themes for forest, depending on what kind of forest we're talking about. But this one, like it has that like mysterious quality to it, but it's more like lighthearted, and given the like sort of magical touches of Stardew, it has like some whimsical feel to it too. If you don't know the game, this particular part of the forest, the deep forest, is not accessible right away. You have to actually upgrade one of your tools a few times to be able to get into it. So it has this, just because of that, because it's something you can't access right away, it sort of has this kind of built-in mystique, right? You're like, I wonder, like, you don't know what's over there. You just know there's this log blocking your way. You don't know what's beyond that for a while. So when you finally get in there and can access it, and it's a really like, it's this cool like shaded area. It's got a little pond, a little statue, and slimes. But you're greeted by this beautiful sound. Like it just evokes mystery while still retaining Stardew Valley's like cheery feeling. So if you're in there just like collecting wood, if you want to go in there and fish, or you're meeting a bear friend maybe who called you on the phone somehow.
Ooh, that is mysterious.
And he wants you to deliver some maple syrup to him. There's a lot of interesting things in the woods, and this is just a perfect backing to all that.
Why don't the deep woods have any maple trees?
I don't know. Maybe he should hang out somewhere else in the forest.
I think he just doesn't want to have to sip from the tree.
Right. He's like, I'm a bear. I don't know how to use a maple tap.
That's true. I wish you could give him a tap.
There you go.
You know, you can. How's the old phrase that everyone knows goes? Like, you know, you can give a bear maple, but if you teach a bear how to tap a tree, he'll have syrup for the rest of his life.
Right.
Something like that.
That age-old adage.
Yeah. If you give a bear maple syrup, he'll have syrup for a day. And then, anyway. I sort of butchered that, but you know what I mean. Everyone knows that one.
Yes.
Yeah, I think my favorite part about this is how it does fit some of those conventions of kind of what you'd expect from like RPG forest music, but it just balances the two main musical parts or voices really, really well. Like the kind of light and lively, pretty woodwind synthish part, which is I think like the more whimsical side, with some really nice bass tones. So you get that drive and that kind of mystery. And then also the melody just has a really nice flow to it, and the parts go really nicely into each other. So it's definitely not repetitive either. And it's very immersive, which is something I'm going to talk about more with my tracks. It's got kind of like a binaural, like you can kind of feel some directionality to it. Kind of feels like you're in the forest surrounded by nature.
Yeah, that's kind of my impression of it too. I really like the instrumentation for it. It's probably one of my favorite tracks that I heard today for the new tracks for this episode.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. He was the last song picked of all 8.
Same here. I know Hillary touched on it, but like I like how it the song never becomes like ominous like a bunch of our later songs do. It maintains this sense, this lightness. I feel more curious to explore the woods than trepidatious.
Yeah.
Yes.
I like that. That's a good description.
Yeah, it's like the perfect song for an area that's hidden, but not threatening.
Right. Even though it is full of slimes that want to attack you, but they do so little damage and they're cute.
Oh, they're slimes. Yeah.
Also, before we cut over to the next song, I probably should have mentioned this up front, but if you do hear birds in our background, which I imagine people will, that was by design. It's a slightly warm-ish day where we are, and there's a lot of birds out. You might also hear some cars, but I was convinced to leave the window open because we like the idea of actual birds in the background of this audio.
It's not late in the day, so sadly you will not hear spring peeper frogs, but we got some birds. Maybe if we're lucky, we'll hear a cardinal doing its like laser sounds. Anyway, I just wanted to mention that because I'm sure at this point it's come through in the audio and there's no way I'm going to be able to cut that out. So yes, Birds by Design. That's a good company name. Great line.
Yeah. Anyway, do you want to talk about your track?
Yeah. So moving on from Stardew, I guess this is no surprise given the section of the video game music trivia thing that I probably did the best on out of all of them, which was like old Final Fantasy arrangements.
Yeah.
This is one, it's funny because I did not think of this for a long time and was going through, random Forest RPG music playlist, and the original version of this song, which is The Forest of More, came on, and then I immediately remembered that there was this really kind of odd but interesting arrangement of that one, so I went searching for it, and I found As I Feel You Feel. And this is a mix done by Uematsu earlier on, and I intentionally chose this one because it kind of takes that idea of like directionality and kind of being immersed in the forest and sounding mysterious to a ridiculous degree. And I appreciate how it does that, but it doesn't do that for the whole song. I really love the beginning. The piano work is just fantastic, and the piano runs really kind of feel like a constant throughout the song. It kind of feels like, maybe the path you're walking along or like a little stream or something. So it's nice. So you're kind of going along through the song. It's really beautiful. And then you get both some occasional, like, airy, mysterious vocals and a spoken voiceover, which was interesting listening to again after such a long time.
Yeah.
Because I think like back when I first listened to this a lot, I just sort of incorporated that as like sort of some of the background or like passing noise. Because, you know, forests actually aren't quiet a lot of the time. I mean, sometimes they are. But it was more noticeable, like going back to it after all this time. But I like it. It really kind of fits the like kind of, you know, RPG magical, you know, maybe it's a sylvan forest. Maybe there's some spirits, whatever.
Yeah, I like that.
The sylph.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Maybe it's the sylphs from 14, just being sylphs.
Yeah.
Also notable that the language that they're speaking is Sami, which is a like a traditional, very northern kind of Scandinavian language. And it is not, I think it's not the only time they use that actually in that album, in Dear Friends, because I think there's a verse in Home Sweet Home that's also in Sami, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, I'll have to check that out too.
I do know they do a different language in the Home Sweet Home, so I think you might be right.
It's an interesting choice. I would love to know, you know, the thought process behind that.
Yeah, right.
It took me by surprise. It changed, well, not really, but it made me, I mean, the whole experience with like the album art of like the kids running towards the camera and like a black and white picture, it made me feel reminiscent, like wistful. The whole song sounded like it was in a minor key, and so it felt really sad. I felt really sad listening to the song and like the spoken word. It's like, it feels like a kid remembering, or like someone remembering their childhood.
Oh God,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
When like going outside just seems so big and mysterious.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I haven't heard this. I haven't played FF5, and I haven't really like listened to the soundtrack that much. But I'm very curious to hear this song in the game now, because it's a really I find it like subtly like kind of sophisticated for Uematsu at this time.
I think that's a fair point.
He started really like playing around with stuff in 6, I think, but this is like a precursor to that in a way. I don't know. I just really liked it. The spoken word stuff really blew my mind.
I was not expecting it when I first heard it, and then I was like, oh wow. I think it adds a lot to it.
Yeah, for sure.
Almost like the forest ambiance.
Yeah.
Yeah. It definitely gives it a certain tone.
Right. I hadn't thought about the idea of it being like, you know, sylphs or fairies or some forest dwellers like talking or whatever until we did this. And that really adds another, I don't know if that was the intent at all, but it was really interesting to think about.
When Gino mentioned the album art, my brain immediately went to, oh no, the fairies are abducting the children.
Oh gosh.
They're so happy. It's like, oh, let's run into the forest.
Never to return.
I'm really excited to get to Final Fantasy V because I'm playing through the Pixel remasters.
Yes.
I finally finished 1 and I'm playing 2 now, and of course I have to do them. I have to do them in order. As much as I want to see and replay 5 and 6, or 4 and 6. Certain ones like 3 and 5 especially have just been things I've missed out on, and I'm really excited to get to them. But I'm not there yet. But I do know that they have great soundtracks.
I have a big soft spot for 5, musically and just playing. It's a lot of fun to play. And I do feel like Gio hit on something important. 5 is like this really neat kind of like transitional phase in the evolution of Final Fantasy music. And it's really good, and people don't talk about it enough.
No. Well, I mean, I think part of that just because it took so long for it to come out in English.
Yep.
But yeah, of course, it's not just this. I'm not looking forward to it just because of this, but there are a copious amount of references to 3 and 5 and 14. So it's going to be interesting for me coming in from the other direction. And now that I'm very familiar with Kryl as she is in 14, and I realize it's a different character in 5, but I'm curious, like, what inspired what. So I'm going to it backwards, but that's going to be interesting.
Kryl.
Anyway, I have heard the original version of this, and I wrote my notes backwards. Anyway, I was going to reference my other song, but it's true of this and my next song in the next block that this is an arrangement album that I heard so long ago that I've mostly forgotten it. Just the blend of like the kind of like synthy sounds with the piano is interesting. The vocals are just fascinating. The whole thing was just so eye-opening to me, like doing research for this episode, learning that it's this language called Sami, which there's like 8. I mean, if Wikipedia is updated, there's like 8 versions of it that are still spoken today.
And there were 10 before.
Yeah, apparently there were like around 10. Now there's around 8. But I like how it sounds, even if I had to see like the English translation on a YouTube video to see like what was being said. Mm-hmm. And it's talking about like fulfilling wishes and like the nature of emotions and reminiscing. I don't know if you looked up the lyrics before you said that, Gio, but that is mentioned in the lyrics.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't. I guess it succeeded in giving off that vibe.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, check it out. I don't know, it's probably like a very literal or direct translation. I have no idea. Like some of the lyrics are like sort of a little cheesy, but like they're fun. And even though I keep calling them lyrics, I realize that like what I'm talking about is mostly like the spoken word that kind of feels like a poem in the middle of the song.
I mean, the way it's timed, you could argue for lyric.
Yeah.
It's very intentionally like timed with the other vocals and with the music.
No, it's really neat though, because, you know, I do still remember things like Love Will Grow and some other early Final Fantasy Arrange albums. And there are vocals where you don't expect them, and like some are better than others, but they're, you know, none of them are like this. This is still, oh good. It's a motorcycle bird. Go away, motorcycle bird. But it's still, it's completely unique even from that, because like even if I'm used to like unexpected and kind of odd sounding vocals, I don't think anything on Love Will Grow is like this. So it's another level of uniqueness. So yeah, very cool. I've been enjoying like this one and my upcoming song. Like listening to these albums again, I'm learning more about them that I never picked up on before. So this episode has been enlightening for me.
And I like how, I think the whole, like the construction of the song and the lyrics and the choice of language and all of that, I think it's inviting you just to get into this kind of contemplative, present, kind of mindful space, which is probably one of my favorite things about forest music.
Yeah.
So there you go. That's the vibe I want in my forest music.
Well, if we want to talk about cool vibes, let's talk about Gio's first song here.
Okay. Yeah, I'm bringing another Final Fantasy song. It's Starting Over from Final Fantasy 13-2, composed by Naoshi Mizuta and performed by Joelle.
You're going to have to keep me from talking about this game too much, because I'm going to want to. But after Starting Over, we are going to listen to Secret of Forest, which we have had many Chrono Trigger songs on the history of Rhythm Encounter. Shockingly, never this song.
That's crazy.
Which is weird. It is I think a highlight of the of a soundtrack full of highlights.
Yeah.
And yet I'm still not bringing the original because I wanted to go a little off the path here, like Hillary did. So this is Secret of Forest, but it's from the Chrono Trigger, The Brink of Time arrangement album, which I've also learned a lot about in like the 30 years since it came out. So that's composed by Yasunori Mitsuda, and this song is arranged by Guido. So let's go listen to Starting Over and Secret of Forest.
Okay, starting over was for me. I just felt like I really needed to bring this song to the episode because it just sounds so good, and it's very different from what you would normally expect from like a forest theme. It's like a very glossy disco house song, which is very. It's very typical for the album. The whole album kind of sounds like this, and I just feel like it's a very unique take on the song. I wanted to make sure like there was like a lot of variety of the forest themes that we brought, and yeah, this is like full disclosure, I haven't played Final Fantasy 13-2, but I know this song plays in the Sunlit Waterscape, an environment from the first game too, and it's like this forest. And in 13.2, I think it's in autumn mode, like it's in the fall season, so it's all orange. It's from what I understand, and
right,
it's very pretty. Like it's very suitable, and I actually really like the lyrics. I think the chorus of the song, like there's like a refrain that goes like round and round and round. I was hooked from that. Like it's such a powerful chorus. Like you just have to sing along. And yeah, I just really like it, and I just wanted to share it with everyone. And I know someone here is much more familiar with this song, so go ahead.
I try to be careful about that because it's one of those things where I'm like, I never hide the fact that I adored this game and the soundtrack. Although really the soundtrack for all 313 games are like top tier Final Fantasy for me. But I also have to admit that I did play it in 2010. So I am rusty on some of the details, but I at least the amount that I enjoyed the game and was invested in it is still perfectly clear. You know, I know I've said this before, but I'm not a trophy hunter. I respect and appreciate everyone that is, but this was and is still the only game where I have a platinum trophy on PlayStation, because I was that committed to like finishing it. And also I don't think the platinum trophy is super hard to get, so there's also that. But the Sunlit Waterscape is just one of my favorite areas visually in the first two games, because there are a few areas that are used in both games. It's so gorgeous, and each game has different music, but they're both equally lovely in their own ways. And I think this one is a really good showcase for the soundtrack for 13.2 in general, because there are several area themes in 13.2 that use vocals, and that is risky. I think that can be really risky, and probably why it's often just not done. You have to be careful like how you do that, because it's something you're going to hear so much. Even if you're like, it's going to be interrupted by battle music, but it's still like it's those songs you hear on loop for hours and hours sometimes. So you can't have your music sound repetitive or get old or like just like any of that. Like you have to like find the right balance of the music and the vocals and how it's done to keep you invested, but also it stands out but can also fall into the background, which I don't know, I think it's just really impressive. But obviously when you have someone like Joelle like singing, that definitely makes things easier. But this song, like, it just has this like just great like driving feel to it, propelling you forward, and just the vocals, I think they're sort of dreamy. It's kind of like a floaty, dreamlike feeling in certain points in this song and some others. And the way you navigate the forest, you're running around the trees and you're swinging on vines. This song really feels like it fits the motions and the way you're exploring this forest. Really, the only thing that ruins your experience in that area is the fact that you have to interact with Snow, who in the second game is at his worst. And the only thing worse than how he is as a character is that god-awful haircut he has. But besides that, everything else about this area and part of the game is good.
Noted. Snow not allowed in the forest. Okay.
No. I will say this isn't really a spoiler, and also the game is very old now, so I'm going to say this. I will say there is a moment, because a little minor backstory, like the idea is that Snow and Sarah are supposed to be engaged or something, but like I never got any connection between them. It's very weird. It's like, oh, I love him. It's like, do you? Because he's not around in the game except right here. And he's not helping you out. So it's just like, oh yeah, she's my girlfriend. And you're exploring with Sarah and Noel, and Noel's just like, it's like he's like looking at this guy. It's like, really, this guy? And I'm like, oh God, I really felt that. I really felt that in that moment.
I agree with you, Noel.
Yeah. It's like you two have no chemistry, but Sarah and Noel absolutely do. So it's really funny watching that. It's just like, huh. It's like, yeah, anyway. And then when you're done, he's like, yeah, cool. I'll take care of this. See you later. I'm like, cool. Sarah, you're making a mistake.
Is this the plot of Lightning Returns? Is this why Lightning goes back in time?
Do you want to know how that plays out in Lightning Returns?
Yeah, actually, it's fine. It's fine with everyone else. Like
nowhere. And actually, that's my biggest complaint in Lightning Returns is whatever they did to like close off the stories of characters like Snow and Noel. They, I think, forgot what happened in 13.2. Like, they don't reference it at all, and they're just like, I don't know. It was very weird what they did with them. So that's disappointing. But whatever. That's Lightning Returns. Why are you looking at me like that?
The Forest of the Heart is never easy to navigate.
Okay. We have our episode title.
I don't know. I was sitting on
so
that
what
for
I'm
a
hearing
minute.
is that Sarah maybe needed to starting over.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I
The
love
song
that.
was directed at Sarah.
Holy cow.
Oh.
Okay. Anyway, I knew I was going to say a lot about that song, but I'm monopolizing the conversation now, so someone else can go.
I mean, it's a very catchy song, and I'm quite curious to hear how it would play on loop, but I can see it being one that doesn't really get old, because a lot of the vocal ones, you kind of run that risk of them being too short or just losing interest as you're playing. And this one doesn't seem like it would.
Yeah. Actually, I have a question. Like, this song has like an aggressive mix, quote unquote, on the soundtrack. Is that like a an alternate version, or is it the battle theme version?
There is. See, this is where I reveal certain aspects that I've forgotten to the sands of time. See, now I want to talk all dramatic because of what you said, Hillary. Yeah, there's an aggressive mix of most of the themes, and I can't remember what it is. There's some gameplay aspect to it. I don't remember if it's exactly just battles in the Area X, but it could be. But yeah, I think most of the main area themes have a normal and aggressive mix.
I see. So that would probably help like solve like repetition. Audra mentioned.
Yeah,
could be.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry I interrupted too.
No,
you're good.
Yeah, I'm sure if someone wants to write in and correct me, because I wasn't anticipating that question. I always forget if the aggressive mix is like a battle version or if it's like because a lot of the areas you can visit in 2 different time periods. It might be the other version.
I'm just really glad we have some like funky forest representation, because I think it is important to have a range, you know?
Yeah.
There are so many forests all over RPGs, and I think it's a really cool take.
Yeah.
Also, just props to Mitsuda, because I was able to kind of like get a connection musically between this and Sunlit Waterscape even before I saw that that's where it was in game.
Oh, nice.
So like I have a new appreciation for this soundtrack and how cohesive it is.
Does it like take like a motif from the original Sunlit Waterscape? Like, is that what you mean?
I meant to check that. I don't remember.
I'm not sure it was an exact motif that I recognized, but just kind of maybe something a little bit similar, and the way the vocals are paced and the way they work. Because there's definitely that one version of Sunlit Waterscape that also has kind of similar vocals.
Yeah.
I think I was going to mention this at the end, but since we were talking now about like, we've mentioned a few times now, like variety and having different things, like, more upbeat, jazzy things. I will say I enjoyed our first forest episode. I do think we have more variety in this one, so I'm actually having a great time listening to this one. Although the first one does have like some Xenoblade and Skies of Arcadius and Star Ocean, which I realized the Star Ocean Forest was one of your original thoughts, Hillary.
Yep.
But it's on episode 37, which again, in our show notes.
That's okay, because it led me to my other pick, which I'm actually really excited about.
Oh, well, that's a good. Oh no, it isn't a good segue. I'll wait to talk about my Chrono Trigger one. That was almost a perfect segue.
It's good foreshadowing.
Foreshadowing. Yeah. Okay, cool. Let me find my notes here. So I mentioned this with dear friends, but the Brink of Time album I have not listened to in so long. I don't even know. I honestly don't know how well known it is these days. I mean, Hillary, we were talking about it before, and like you'd never heard it. How about you, Gio and Audra?
Never.
I think I heard it on another podcast once, and I remember the album cover.
The album cover is hard to forget. The overexposed photo of breakfast, with the orange eggs.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, it's well, I hate to say it, but it's old. I think that's why it released. I didn't realize this until recently. I didn't realize when it actually came out, but it came out in June 1995, which is only 3 months after the Chrono Trigger soundtrack. So, obviously these were being made at the same time. Like, you don't just throw that together that quickly. So that's interesting. I didn't realize they were so close together. Sometimes arrange albums come way later, like maybe after the game is proved to be successful, or maybe they want to make more money off it. But no, it was like almost back to back. And I've had it almost as long. This is probably one of the oldest arrange albums I have. And I remember when I first heard it, I wasn't a big fan. I really didn't care for it that much. Like some of the songs have like some, maybe, I don't want to say experimental, but maybe I do. There are some sounds where I'm just like, I wasn't expecting that. And I think when I was younger, I would wasn't expecting that to like, well, this isn't the song I know, so I'm not sure I like it. It's not as off the wall as the Secret of Mana Plus album.
Oh boy.
Punctuated by like ringing telephones. which again, maybe I'll like that one more now. But
I enjoy that one, okay?
I do like it. The telephones really weird me out, though.
Ring.
So, yeah.
The typing?
Uh-huh. So
typewriter.
Listening to this again was interesting because I'm like, I don't recall liking this, but let me try it again. And I really enjoy this one.
Yay.
I got to listen. I want to go back and re-listen to the whole album, but this one came up when I was searching for forest music and I really like it. So I don't know if it's just that, maybe I'm just more open to more musical styles today, which most likely, yes, is the case. But it's just so smooth and jazzy, has fun instrumentation. The drum beats are really great. And, it's interesting. I guess I could have said this up front, but, we're sort of spoiled for choice these days when it comes to arrangements and remixes. There's so much out there, both official and especially from fans. But this was not really as common back then. So the idea that this was came right on the heels of the game and soundtrack release was really fascinating. So I don't know. I enjoy it, and it's definitely been like I said earlier, an eye-opening experience. So I got to go back and listen to some of the other ones because the album has, the final battle and Warlock battle and like some of the best songs in the game, just in a very different style. So I think I would appreciate the rest of them in general more now than I used to. So I got to give it another try.
Worth revisiting.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's so interesting because it really proves, this album kind of proves that there's this thread of jazz kind of interwoven with a lot of major JRPG projects, composers, which is really cool. I love to point that out wherever I can.
Yeah.
Also, I'm sorry, but I did picture the Lucille Bluth. I love all my Chrono arrangements equally, except for Overexposed Breakfast. I don't care for Overexposed Breakfast. I also really like the specific type of kind of jazz arrangement they went for Secret of the Forest. It's sort of like a smooth groove, very even, and I think that just works so well for this particular track. I enjoy it a lot. And it kind of it helps keep at least a similar pace and a similar tone to the original. Yeah. And I love the variety in percussion. You've got that kind of bongo sounding percussion in there, which is very fun.
Yeah.
For me, unlike Mike, I immediately vibe with this song. This is catnip for me because I like jazz. And and I was just surprised that there is a arrangement of Secret of Forest that I'd never heard before. Because I feel like I've listened to everything on YouTube, but I guess not. And yeah, I just really like this song. I even like the album cover. I like the Overexposed Breakfast. It reminds me of, it just makes me want breakfast. And I don't know, it's suitable. It's kind of like the vibe that the song is going for. I wonder if the rest of the album sounds like this, or someone said it was more experimental. Well, I mean, again,
to a younger me that was not used to hearing this style for Chrono Trigger, yeah. No. I mean, the rest of the album I think does have a similar feel to it, so I think you would like it.
Yeah.
And there are some different things, from the clips that we were kind of listening to recently. They do some slightly different things, and they branch out a little bit just to account for some of the original stuff that's happening in the soundtrack. I forget which battle or which track it was, but there were sound effects in the original that they were kind of needed to try to emulate.
Oh, was it? I think that was Warlock Battle.
Warlock Battle. Yep. Yeah. Yep.
Whoa. Warlock Battle is Magus Battle?
Yeah. I mean, maybe it's been retranslated, but my files say Warlock Battle. Or maybe it actually was called that at the time on the album.
Okay. I am gonna devour this album. I'm done with this. This is a really great discovery for me.
I mean, talk about variety.
Talk about variety.
For the forest themes, this is definitely an awesome take on one.
And it still fits. Like, I don't know. It still manages to fit, which is really neat.
Yeah. We always have links in the show notes to where you can listen. This is one of those ones where it's so old, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure you can just find it on YouTube, but I don't know if I'm looking quickly to see if it's something Square actually put on their music channel, and they did not. So, oh well. I'm sure it's floating around out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. I just thought about this when we were talking, but there also was Square has this like recent series of jazz arrangement albums, and they did a jazz Chrono Trigger in 2022, which I still haven't actually listened to in full. Interestingly, Secret of Forest is not on there. So,
oh my
Battle
god,
of Megasis, though.
I know. I after talking about all this, I was really hoping Secret of Forest was one of them because I would love to hear how it was then versus how. Well, I'm not sure who arranged these ones because, of course, on the digital listing, the artist is Square Enix Music. That's not a person.
Yasunori Mitsuda presents on the cover. Like, so maybe it's him.
Maybe.
No, I don't think so.
I'll have to look it up. All right. Are we ready to be silent? That's a horrible segue. You did say something when I think we were talking about Stardew about like forests are never silent or something, and I was like, oh, that's more foreshadowing for this block.
Yeah, it's true.
Obviously that was intentional.
Yep. There's more noise going on than you think of. And if it is silent, that's actually probably not a good sign.
That's true.
No, that's usually a sign the axe murderer's in there or something.
Right. Right. Or something has scared off all the animals, which is maybe a problem for you.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, we are veering a little bit into the dramatic, a little bit more into like the unsettling forest with my next pick, which is Silence of the Forest. That's a Revo composition from Bravely Default.
All right. And Audra, finally, you get to talk about one of your songs.
Oh, okay. My first song selection is Dungeon 1, The Great Forest from Eiyuden Chronicle of Rising.
All right. Well, let's go take a listen.
All right. Well, I might keep it like short and sweet with this one because it's actually really hard for me to put into words kind of the way this song makes me feel, but it is definitely one of my absolute top beautiful, foresty, mysterious kind of songs. It has a really dramatic opening. Like those first few notes really hit you, which I love. And then you get a lot of the common effects, like the little twinkly notes, which actually we could bring up in several other tracks here. Just kind of like the ding, 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 which actually kind of remind me of the Zelda Forest Temple too.
Oh, yeah.
But you get a lot of those conventions, but it all meshes very, very well together and also gives, I think I'm going to use the word gloomy, because I know the track is titled Silence of the Forest, but I think you get kind of like a closed in sort of feeling. So maybe that could be silence, maybe that could be, dark, a little bit darker. But I like that a lot. And I think it's a little bit of a contrast. We have not gone full like creepy forest here in this episode, and I think this might be the closest we get to that. And just the way the parts flow together, it really kind of feels like you are walking through a really dark forest and you get like a little glimmer of light through the trees really quickly and then it's gone. Or there are a few very dramatic note passages where it's like maybe really in the middle of a very thick forest and then suddenly there's a clearing, something like that. I don't know. It's just very evocative. I can definitely imagine a forest very easily with this. And I think the instrumentation and the way the parts flow together really contributes to that. So, yep. Once I remembered the song existed, I knew I had to bring it.
Yeah, I think I can see that definitely. You can imagine almost just walking through a forest when you're like a dark, maybe deep forest in this one. And it really brings that to mind through the instrumentation.
Yeah. I noticed like the melody goes like dun dun dun. Like it always sounds like it's ending on a question.
Yeah.
And
the resolution isn't there.
Yeah. And it adds to this unsettling feeling in the song, and it's also like a curious feeling, kind of similar to the Stardew Valley song, but this one is a little more, it's a little more slightly veering into like spooky or creepy.
Yeah, I feel like it's gloomier because you don't get the like do 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 that you get in the Stardew Valley one.
Yeah,
you don't have that really light, airy part so much. This is heavier.
It's heavier. It's heavier, but it still has this weird, like, serene feeling to it in points. Like it's interesting to me that it can be both.
You've got this kind of like very airy, serene part over a big, kind of gloomy soundscape. Yeah. Did you think about this after you realized you couldn't bring Star Ocean? Because there is something about this song that I absolutely listen to and feel like it just there's something about the sound, the evocative sound of it, and just the way the instruments sound that really makes me think of some like Sakuraba songs from Valkyrie Profile or something. A little bit, and not in any way I can't directly say like, oh, it sounds like this one song, but there's a certain feel to it. That I enjoy. But yeah, I don't know. It is really beautiful though. And besides some like really, really effective like swells, it's pretty even all throughout, and just a great vibe. The swells are there, and I think that might be part of what reminds you of Sakuraba a little bit, because Sakuraba does that a lot. Yeah. Specifically in his like quieter.
Right.
Yeah. In his quieter, non-battle music. Battle music is just like constant, as many notes and instruments as possible.
Well, yes. That's a different thing.
Yes.
I hope no one gets mad at me for comparing Sakuraba to Revo, because I generally would say I like Revo more. But still, there is a sound.
People hate on Sakuraba. I don't fully get it.
I don't agree with it. I know. I don't actually. So no, I enjoyed this one. Really, just like from the opening notes, it's just beautiful.
And I do like Revo a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I remember, like, who did the soundtrack for Bravely Second?
Oh, sure. Now I need to look.
I'm blanking. Whatever. I remember when Revo didn't come back for the sequel, I think people were maybe initially disappointed, although that soundtrack turned out well. But I do recall the reaction when they said Revo was coming back for Bravely Default 2. People were very, very excited.
Yeah.
So, all right. So we have another song in this block.
Oh, yes. Dungeon 1, The Great Forest, which I feel like it really fits for the action RPG tone of Eiyuden Chronicle Rising. It captures a sense of like a mysterious forest and you wandering through it, but then at the same time it's also, you're fighting monsters or you're having to trek through large paths of land and figure out how to navigate trees and different pathways. And there's like I feel like the instrumentation just really captures kind of like a mysteriousness, but also a lightheartedness and then also adventure. Like I just feel like it kind of is a great combination of all of those things. Mm-hmm. Like just kind of a forest jaunt, sort of. Yeah.
It really has this really nice, like open and like breezy feel to it.
Mm-hmm.
And it just feels like it's always like moving forward, which is really ideal for a dungeon theme. But yeah. I think it gives you that sense of, pushing forward, but still maintaining that like bright sound and like real like good sense of adventure.
It's funny that Audra mentioned the action RPG because I in my notes I said this almost has kind of a mana feel to it. So I think there might be something to that. Like yes. If you have something that's more action oriented, it does seem like maybe there's a little bit of a musical difference. But also, I think the song points out an important point, which is there are forest dungeons, there are forest areas with battles, there are tons of them,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you've got to represent the battle side of it and the trekking side at the same time, the like non-mysterious side of exploration, I guess.
Yes.
This is the first dungeon in the game, right, Audra?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, because I got the platinum trophy for this game. I did. Yeah, like I think I put like 30 hours into this game, and so I kept coming back to this dungeon because you have to do like quests and stuff. And this was like the only song in the album and in the soundtrack that I wasn't tired of because the rest could get kind of repetitive. But this one was really pleasant. Yeah, this one was really nice, and it's like the one dungeon I have fond memories of.
I just like the look of it too.
Ooh.
It had
the
a
look
very
of it
visual
is nice.
design. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Audra picked the exception.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really a shame about Eiyuden Chronicle.
Yeah.
About Rising or
in general?
Rising was decent, but
yeah. It was actually in some ways better than 100 Heroes.
Arguably, yeah.
Really? Okay. I don't know. I feel like it's very mixed. Like I feel like half the people on the site think 100 Heroes is fine, and some people think it's.
It's okay.
I think the feeling. I mean, you can speak on this, Audra. The main game is at least better and more fulfilling than these last 3 DLCs, right?
Yes.
I feel like you finished each of the DLCs in like an hour or 2.
Yeah.
So
pretty much 2 hours is probably generous for some of them. Yeah.
How much are they? How much do they cost normally?
$8 or $9. Not what I'd probably spend for them.
Yeah, that's a tricky one. It's like is 2 hours of game worth $9? Because you can watch a 2-hour movie at the theater and spend actually, I haven't been to the theater in so long. I don't even know what they cost anymore. $15 to $20, depending on the theater you go to.
I could watch a 2-hour episode of Dimension 20 for very few dollars a month.
That's true. You can sign up for Dropout for only $5.99 a month if you sign up now. I would love to get them as a sponsor. I would happily pitch Dropout to anyone listening. I don't know if they do that, but I would do it. So that was not a sponsored message. I just like Dropout. All right. Let's go. I kind of just piece this together right now looking at the track list, but I didn't intentionally do this, that I put 5 of our 8 songs today actually have the word forest in them, and there are the last 5 of today. I didn't mean to group them all together like that. But yeah, we have one more block today. So we have one more song from Audra and one from Gio. So what is our last block?
Well, my song selection is A Visitor in the Forest from Monster Hunter Stories 2, Wings of Ruin.
All right. And Gio?
I'm bringing Devil Forest from Last Bible 3, composed by Hiroyuki Yanada.
I really enjoyed this one. I'm looking forward to talking about it. All right. Let us go listen to our last block, and we will be back soon.
Well, I love the Monster Hunter Stories games, and I kind of have been really wanting an excuse to bring the soundtrack to this podcast, just from one of them at least. I love the instrumentation in A Visitor in the Forest, and it kind of fits for this sense of unknownness and danger, but kind of putting up your dukes. To me, it's like quintessential kind of Monster Hunter vibe, in a way. Because you're on a mission with your monsties, and you're usually protecting something, or trying to find out what's going on with like why these monsters are acting so hostile or different. And I just think A Visitor in the Forest just captures that sentiment really well. The instrumentation is great. It's a short song, but it goes through all of the motions, I feel, really well for just a full-fledged kind of action-y song.
Yeah, just like the percussion and like the drums. The drums really make this song for me, I think. Just a really good, like, powerful rhythm to it. Mm-hmm. Do you actually, I was going to say, it's like, oh, it sounds like a really good song for, hunting, but do you actually, like, literally hunt monsters in these two games? Or no?
You have to scour the areas for, like, monster nests, and then you can get the egg, you kind of catch the eggs from them.
Gotcha. Okay.
So it's not really so much monster hunting as it is just straight up, like, turn-based combat against monsters.
It's egg hunting.
Yeah.
It's like a big egg hunt. That's perfect for Easter.
Happy Easter, everybody.
Yay!
It's really interesting. I'm glad that we brought something from Stories specifically, but in my head, I was definitely like contrasting that with, Monster Hunter in general, and like listening to this song. I like how it uses kind of some of those conventional, like I think there's some horn work, but some of those conventional things that might make you think of like hunting in the forest, because like musically, and especially in RPGs, especially what ones that are, taking inspiration from like maybe medieval or like Western, legends, whatever, there is kind of this convention of like forest hunts. I was getting a little bit of that from this, and it's interesting how they use kind of some of those musical conventions in Stories.
Yeah,
I do like that. The percussion is very excellent in it.
Yeah, and the melody, it very much feels like a chase.
Like you're chasing whoever is the visitor in the forest.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good reminder that the forest is dangerous. Like the forest is a place where sometimes predation happens, or I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Right. Yeah. Bringing it back to our intro, it's an ecosystem.
Yeah.
There's
and in
predators,
RPGs,
prey.
there's monsters, and yeah.
Oh no. So I'm the predator because I'm the bird.
Yeah.
And Geo's the prey.
Yeah. This is like probably the last song I'd ever hear before.
What if you, the worm, befriends a hedgehog though? I feel like the hedgehog, like I'd be more cautious to like dive down for a snack though. I could get hurt.
Oh, you know what I would do? Like I would worm my way into Hillary the hedgehog's brain and mind control her.
Oh God. Never mind, I am going to eat you.
This took a dark turn.
Wow.
Okay, Gio's gone full parasitic brain worm?
Yeah, apparently.
Oh, it's Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah. We thought we were in the world of Snow White, original good Snow White, not 1.6 out of 10 star rating on IMDb live action Snow White that apparently is god awful. But we went from Snow White to Baldur's Gate 3.
That's so funny that Gio said that, because things like, not very many things like actually like squeak me out, but parasites, especially mind controlled parasites like cordyceps.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. People don't say that they're scared by The Last of Us, but I do get scared by The Last of Us, the games and the show.
It's real. That's the worst part. Usually it just affects like bugs and small crustaceans, but it's real. It's upsetting.
Okay, so one, you slamming your fist on the desk is definitely going to come through in the audio.
Okay, good.
Two, good. I'm the one editing.
I'm sorry, you can leave it in its
Two, I wasn't expecting of everyone on here that you were going to be the one that was going to make me bleep out a swear word today.
That's how upset I am.
Yes. Whatever, it's Gio's fault. Were you doing, hold on, did you do that, Gio? Were you just looking for a segue to talk about Devil Forest? Is that,
no.
Oh, wow, really? Because that would have been a good segue.
This is the type of forest that is.
Yeah.
It works.
Oh, yeah.
It works. Yeah. So, because like Audra's song is like what like it sounds like I'm gonna die, but no, I turn it around. Like I turn it around. Like I
there you go.
I get in Hillary's ear and like you know,
I'm gonna live.
Happy ending for Gio.
Yeah. Hedgehog be damned. You know, like I'm gonna.
Whew, okay.
Well,
okay.
Oh my goodness.
I don't know how to come back from that one, so maybe we should just talk about Devil Forest.
It's a hard life out there.
Devil Forest. So, like, to give it a bit of a background, Last Bible 3 is part of the Last Bible series, which is like a spin-off series to Shin Megami Tensei, in my understanding. It's another one of those games that I haven't played, but I have listened to the soundtrack a lot, like over the years, just like a lot, because how do I describe it? It's kind of like if Earthbound was a bit more satanic. I don't know. Not really. Like a little bit more menacing. Like a little, like some parts of Earthbound are like menacing. Like they're a bit scary, but Last Bible 3, more of the songs, more of the soundtrack is like that, and it just does like lots of really cool things that I never would have expected on the SNES. And Devil Forest stands out. It's one of the more catchy songs in the soundtrack, and it's maybe my favorite. It's so good. It's just so good because like immediately, like the bass line, it's so funky, and then like that synth kicks in, like that high-pitched synth like that carries the melody, and it's like it's really cool. It's just really cool. There's really this sense, like I think this song kind of plays towards the end of the game, and like there's really this sense of like, okay, like we're not playing around, and these are like the real threats to you, the player. So yeah, I just feel like I wanted like a forest theme that was like actually scary or like actually threatening to you. Like I wanted to bring that. So yeah.
Yeah, and it definitely conveys that. I think there's a very threatening, menacing quality to it, that like an apprehensive almost vibe to it.
Yeah, I had to look it up because I knew it was a spinoff, like you said, of Shin Megami Tensei. So it's portable. So the first two were on the Game Boy. I actually forgot that the first one came out here under the title Revelations: The Demon Slayer. But the second and third did not. And there was a spin-off on the Game Boy Color in 95, another one on the Game Gear in 1995.
Game Gear, huh?
What?
And then there was like a 3 mobile games in like the late 2000s, which maybe don't count. I guess depends on what they're really about. But yeah, I mean, otherwise, outside of the 3 mobile games, the series hasn't had a new game since 1995. And like those first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all 5 of the games came out between 1992 and 1995. So
yeah, it's a bit forgotten, I think. Like really.
Yeah. So no, it's interesting though to think about, because like obviously when we think about a spinoff, we think of Persona now, and obviously Persona has done well for itself. So it's interesting that this was like a really early spinoff, and like had all these games released in a short time span, and then well, I don't want to say forgotten, but since, at least outside of Japan, most of them never got released.
Okay, wait a minute, though.
What?
The newer mobile games, they actually title them New Testament because that's funny.
Last Bible, New Testament, 1, 2, and 3, yeah. That is funny. Yeah, it was Last Bible 2, Last Bible 3, Another Bible, and Last Bible Special. Anyway, yeah, I also, I guess unsurprisingly, don't know much about them besides just that they exist. But I was certainly expecting for a song and game title like this, that this would feel a little more foreboding than it was. It's sort of fun to me. It's sort of airy and light at times. And then the B section, I mean, it comes in a couple times, but the first time was like a little after a minute. Really love that. It just adds another layer to this song that has more complexity than, I mean, not that you couldn't do complex music by the Super Nintendo, but more than I was expecting to have here. So yeah, if nothing else, this song makes me want to listen to more of it. I have no idea if any of these have been like fan translated, but I imagine
they have
all of them. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, all of them.
Cool. Well, I'm going to start with the music though, and not just because I have a copy of Lunar waiting for me today, but
I just want to say I feel like the first two Last Bible games aren't as good as Last Bible 3 from what I've heard, but it's been a while since I've listened to them, so maybe my opinion would be different now, because this composer Hiroyuki Yanada is like really very, very talented, and I think he's no longer around. Like he kind of left the industry a little bit after this soundtrack. So
Good to know. I was picturing kind of like a Zelda's Forest Temple situation with this music, where it's like mostly putting you off balance or ill at ease, even though, parts of it are kind of lighter. Something just felt a little bit off, or not like how it's supposed to be.
I think how the dungeon looks in this for Devil Forest is like, it's kind of like a maze, like it's like top down view, and like the trees are like the walls. It's just like that. Like it's not like Shin Megami Tensei where like it's like first person dungeon crawler. It's more like a top down thing. But it kind of does look like A Link to the Past in a way.
Oh, look at that.
It's like visually it's somewhere between like A Link to the Past and like Soul Blazer, Terranigma or something, and maybe Lufia.
The sprites definitely have a little quintet.
They do, yeah. Quintet or Lufia for sure. Mm-hmm. That's cute. Oh, look, there's a forest. This is really good podcast content, by the way. Me looking through Google Images and just telling people that I'm looking at them.
There's a forest.
Yeah, love that. All right. Well, that was a solid lineup of forest music. So thank you all for bringing such great picks on. And once again, giving me more things to go listen to, even though I'm just going to go play Blueprints. We did have a trio of debuts to Rhythm Encounter today. Eiyuden Chronicle Rising, Last Bible 3, unsurprisingly, never been on the show, and Monster Hunter Stories 2. Nice. All of those were new to Rhythm Encounter, so thank you for that. Nice. Yeah.
Yay.
I'm not sure if we had Monster Hunter Stories, the first one, on either, so that might be like a series debut.
Nice.
I could be wrong.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So coming up next on Rhythm Encounter, we are doing an episode on mobile RPGs, something that I know a lot of us have mixed feelings about in terms of games, but that doesn't mean you should sleep on the soundtracks, because there is some incredible stuff out there. So we'll be talking about mobile RPG music in a couple weeks. And after that, an idea that's been floating around for way too long, but we're finally going to do a Wild Arms episode. So look forward to that. If you have thoughts on this, if you want to talk about your favorite forest themes, or I guess if you want to talk about mobile music, you can tell us now. You can reach the show and me at music@rpgfan.com. what is the best way for people to reach you, Hillary?
Best for me is email, which is hillarya@rpgfan.com.
Cool. And Audra?
Audra B at rpgfan.com.
And Gio?
You can find me on the RPG Fan Discord. I go by 10bstar, TENBISTAR, or you can email me at geo@rpgfan.com.
I guess I should mention my Discord name because I do lurk in Discord more than I used to, but I won't.
Nah.
If you, well, like I said, I lurk.
One
Like
day.
I don't need the attention that much. I'm busy. If you enjoyed this show, please do check out RPG Fan's other podcast. We have Random Encounter, it posts every other Monday, opposite of our show. We're recording this one a little bit in advance, but I'm pretty sure the most recent Random Encounter talked about Claire Obscure, one of my most anticipated games of the year.
And a soundtrack I've been sadly listening to, waiting for the release and really wanting a full soundtrack release.
Sadly.
Just because I want more.
Oh, God, yeah. That soundtrack is going to be something else. Over on Retro Encounter is every other Thursday. They just finished 2 episodes on Suikoden. My understanding is, again, they're not recorded as of this recording. I don't think they're full-on game journals. They just devoted 1 episode to Suikoden 1 and 1 to Suikoden 2 as a follow-up to the remakes coming out. So check those out. And after that, Retro Encounter is going to do an episode on 90s RPGs, something I have a lot of opinions about. So I think that'll be a fun episode. You can find RPG Fan on most social media as RPGFan.com, except on Blue Sky, where we're RPG Fan. You can find the links for those in our show notes. Our website is rpgfan.com, where we have news, reviews, podcasts, features, lots of cool stuff. We have a shop where you can buy RPG Fan merch and our review card collection book. And if you enjoyed this show, please rate, review us, subscribe, whatever it is you want to do, depending on where you listen, whether it's Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify. All of that helps us get the word out and get more people listening to great RPG music. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to Audra, who has our bonus track for the day. So what are we going to close the show out with, Audra?
Oh, we'll close the show out on Suikoden 5's The Deep Forest, The Lost Forest.
Well, a lot of Suikoden in the closing of the show today.
Oh, yep.
All right. Well, we're going to leave you with The Deep Forest, The Lost Forest from Suikoden 5. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, everyone, for listening. And we'll see you in a couple weeks for mobile RPGs. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
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 A lot of times we do hear mysterious or ominous kind of themes for forest, depending on what kind of forest we're talking about. So, like I said, sometimes it is more on the, I don't want to keep saying ominous, so I'm just going to cut this out.